Too long, but there wasn't a whole lot of planning with this one. Let me adjust the lighting. So I learned something today, that one of the Scambaiters that I like to watch is actually a fraud. So hold on. Yeah, that's just where it is. I look a little faded out. I don't know why. But yeah, so the point is, as a content creator, someone who produces videos, who talks, who communicates, who wants to provide value, this is something that's really important to me. It hits home. And so, one of the things that I've been watching for years, off and on, but lately I've got a greater interest in it just because I'm thinking about getting into it myself, is scam baiting. And so for those of you that don't know what scam baiting is if you might have heard of the Indian tech support scams, the people pretending to be, Dell, Amazon, Microsoft, your bank. Uh, so that's one type of scam. Another one you might have heard of, even older than that, are the Nigerian prince scams that are that are called 419 scams. And the reason they call those 419 scams is because that is the section of Nigerian law that deals with that particular crime. But in the case of what I'm talking about, and most of the scams that the scam baiters that I follow deal with, are actually just following the Indian tech support scammers. So these are the guys that, um, they're jerks, they're awful, they're evil people. They're the ones out there stealing your grandma's and grandpa's money because they know that old people aren't smart with technology and their mind's not all there. So they know that they look for easy targets. They'll talk to most of anybody. There are certain IVRs set up that they will ask, oh, press 1 if you're 65 or older, or press 2 if you're not. And if you hit 2, anything but 1, but if you hit 2, it just disconnects the call. So they make it very obvious who their target is. But so, anyway, so what a scam baiter does, there's a few things that a genuine scam baiter does that makes it really good uh, for them to do what they do. And so the most basic thing that the concept for the scam baiter is, if they're talking to a scam baiter, that scammer cannot talk to an actual victim. So if the only thing a scam baiter does is spend hours on the phone, wasting scammers' times, that's one less victim that could be swindled during that time. Because the thing is, so these scammers, they're not very technically inclined usually, um, but they're very good at what they do. There's a lot of social engineering. So this is a criminal enterprise. First off, it's absolutely illegal in India, but a lot of the larger call centers that operate that don't get caught, the reason they don't get caught is because they literally buy out the police. And so there are local law enforcement that, if a scam baiter does try to complain to the police about it, they're not going to care. And so certain scam baiters have learned that they can provide the evidence to the CBI, which is India's Central Bureau of Investigations, literally the Indian FBI. Those are usually the ones that will do stuff. But aside from that, so it's a criminal organization. They know what they're doing. They know that it's wrong, and so what they'll do is they'll appeal to young Indians that can't find jobs, because India is not necessarily a rich country. There's a lot of poverty there, so they get drawn into these call center jobs because that's the only job they could find. So they'll pretend that they're working for Microsoft or whatever organization that they're trying to fraud people out of believing, and and some of those scammers will go as far as lying to their own parents about it, just so their parents don't hate them because they know what they're doing is wrong. So yeah, so it's true there are some people who get the jobs with these scam call centers, not realizing they're stepping into a scam. And yeah, so there are people who try it out and they leave because they know it's wrong. And I do know there is a scam baiter in particular that's a former scammer. Um, I also know that Pierogi, a scammer payback, actually helped a scammer leave the scamming industry, and this person got an actual legitimate job. So I mean, and so there's definitely not everybody you talk to is, as a scammer, is really there for the whole purpose of being a jerk, but most of the time the ones that are really good at it have been doing it for a long time. So yes, they're absolutely going to know how to waste your time, tie you up on the phone. They'll try to keep the victim on the phone. They're going to wear that person down. Just from personal experience, yeah, if you wear somebody down to a point just long enough and you don't let up, then yeah, it's a lot easier to manipulate that person to do stuff. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily scammed this year, but a very toxic person did that thing to me, and didn't lose money, but I definitely learned that, in a weak position, I too can be manipulated. But yeah, so, but my point is, this is what the scammers do. They know this, that they can take advantage of people like that. And so that's a thing that needs to be, that you got to keep in mind. So this is why these scammers are so bad, and this is why scam baiters are good. So there's definitely a lot of scam baiters out there of different skill levels. Um, some of the really good ones, like Kit Boga, Renoa Poison, uh, Scammer Payback, they're all good at what they do. They're known for holding the scammers on the phone for hours and hours and hours and stringing them along for days sometime. And so just think about that. That whole time, those scammers are wasting their time with these people that aren't going to give them a dime. And but that whole time, they can't actually scam anybody for real. So while it's unfortunate, there's not enough scam baiters to completely tie up all the scammers. Um, that's part of the reason why it's very much encouraged to learn this if you really, and again, so as you might imagine, this is a very good thing to watch. I love watching scam baiting videos and watching, the people that I follow, that I watch, looking at their subscriber count, their, the views on those scam baiting videos. It's absolutely a good topic to make a video about. And so this leads into, what I'm, the topic of this video is this particular, well, we'll call him scam baiter for the purpose for now, but Malcolm Merlin. And so in the description there were, I posted links to two other videos. So I literally learned about this morning, right as I was getting ready to leave for work. Like, I literally wake up, while I'm getting ready for work, I'm eating my breakfast, sitting at my desk watching YouTube videos, preferably finding new scam bait videos. And in the course of doing that, I caught this because yesterday, I think it was, no, it was 2 days ago, because I was watching, no, it was yesterday because I was watching Renoa Poison's live stream on Twitch, and she had commented about Malcolm Merlin being a scammer, and because I wasn't watching the chat too closely and she didn't name him, I didn't gather it from context. I didn't put two and two together till this morning when I was watching the first video that I watched, which was by Internet Talk. And so that link's in the video. Also, the one that Internet Talk references, that his video is in a response to. Um, and so this one, so I guess you could say my video is a response to Internet Talk's video, but it really, I don't care. But I don't feel that either of them left anything out. So my commentary is, I do find it interesting that Internet Talk called out both Malcolm Merlin and his buddy DVR, and that Deo only called out Malcolm Merlin. But you watch both videos and you realize that I don't think that Deo really had to call out DVR, because if you watch both channels and watch a lot of the videos, you'll find that DVR is on both channels, and they're definitely buddies. They produce content together. There's no way that DVR is not a part of Malcolm Merlin's scam. In fact, there's comments that were posted along the way. But even you know, what was his name? DVR. No, Deo is who I was talking about. Even in Deo's video, he pointed out that DVR made public comments knowing that, yeah, Malcolm Merlin's smoke and mirrors, lots of bullshit. This isn't real. And so you know why? Or so even though DVR actually it does do real content, so the focus of the videos that I watched, and I haven't had time, and I don't think I'm going to even have time to even try. I've got too many other things going on. But I don't think I'm going to analyze DVRs. If somebody else wants to analyze DVRs videos to figure out what's fake, because for example, like what went wrong with a lot of Malcolm Merlin's videos was there were timestamps. You could like, you know, so because he shows streams of his desktop VMs, but you know, the desktop that shows the clock, and if you pay attention to timestamps in videos, you watch the clocks. Long story short, things don't add up. It's impossible. Like for example, from the time like this one call started, and the scammer finally asked Malcolm to download AnyDesk and give him the code, there was 40 seconds had passed, and it still said the same time in the clock. And so, which meant that he had 20 seconds to open up the browser, download AnyDesk, install it, and provide the code. And so by the time they showed the connection, it was still showing the same time. So why do you? What's going on? You know, like if he's leaving that much fruit hanging out, what else is rotten? So yeah, so I'm not going to go into all of that. There are some things I want to talk about, just from the perspective of an IT professional, that when I look at this, because for me these videos are important to me because a lot of my clients are potential victims. And I think if you're a human being with a pulse and you're not, you know, completely knowledgeable about technology or even financially literate, that's the whole thing. It's scary how many people aren't financially literate. You know, we use money, but we don't all, not all of us understands it right. And so, you know, in regards to the way the banks work and how money moves and how things can legitimately be reversed. And so these scammers take advantage of that because most people just trust whatever the other person's saying. If they sound legitimate, if they sound authoritative, then that's what they're going to take advantage of. So, for example, if so they'll tell a victim, hey, we overpaid you too much money, so, and then they'll try to convince them into buying gift cards or whatever um, to buy to pay them back. And of course that's bullshit, because if a company legitimately sends too much money in a wire transfer, that can always be reversed. In fact, that's one of the common scams that the Nigerians use to scam a lot of victims. It's called flashing, and they can flash money, just like fake checks are easy enough. I got a stack of checks that I use for my business, and it's super easy to just come up with a fake fake check. Looks real. Let's print it on real, print it from an inkjet printer, And don't get me wrong, if you if the check's got like correct information on it, it's a valid check. Like I issue my payroll checks on those. So yeah, those are fine, but they're easy to obtain. And a lot of people don't think about that, because most of the time you're getting your checks, your personal checks, from your bank. And most people don't realize that if you know your account and routing number and your bank name, you can go anywhere and buy checks. You can print your own checks if you want. In fact, you can go to Staples and buy a box with check templates, some software. It's like $35, and you can buy software to make your own checks for your own personal stuff. So as far as I know, that particular software isn't for business, which is why I didn't buy it. The price was right. I'd have bought it if it would have been great for business, but I'm all right. But the point is, you can do that, and so, but most people don't even think about that. So this is one of the things that they take advantage of. So from the perspective of an IT professional, from the perspective of somebody who at least has a basic understanding of how to write software, I don't consider myself a developer, but have I created software? Absolutely. Um, so, I take a look at, um, like if you take a look at some of Malcolm Merlin's channel. So he shows all sorts of stuff, um, some of which is legitimate and real, some of which is not. And so, for example, he mentioned you'll see screenshots of something called Nanocore. That is legit. That is a very, very powerful, what's called a RAT, or remote access toolkit, or remote admin toolkit. Um, and so basically, if you get this, if somebody runs the payload, the software, the whatever you want to call it, but if you can trick somebody to run that executable, all of a sudden you've got full access to that computer whether or not they know it. All they're going to see is I tried to click it and it didn't run. And, so they're just going to think, I don't know, maybe it was a bad, maybe you needed to read down. I mean, they but you trick somebody into running it. That's how that works. And so if you know, but most people aren't that stupid. It's really hard to get some scammer to even run that. It's just by chance, If you, I'm not going to go into details because I don't want scammers to learn how to do it. But scammers are fucking stupid, and they go places because they think that they're all knowing, and they're not. But yeah, you could have, but but it happens. There are legitimate scam baiters that are using Nanocore Rat to infiltrate scam call centers and get information, just do all sorts of damage. And so, but Malcolm Merlin occasionally shows views of it. But the lovely thing is, so like in both those videos that are linked, um, the point that they make is he's not remoting into anybody else's computers. He's remoting into his own, um, which isn't hard to do at all. So, like for example, in order to set up that Nanocore Rat, um, to be able to make it work for for someone remotely to connect to it. If you want to put it on a scammer's computer in India, that little program has to connect to a server somewhere, through some port forwarding on your own end, and obviously people can set that up. But I don't believe Malcolm Merlin ever set it up that way, because if you run it on your LAN, it's fine. It'll run just fine. How do I know? I have it. I've been experimenting with it. It's definitely flagged by every single piece of anti-malware on there, because technically it is malware. But the point is, yeah, those, so he does use some legitimate tools that leads some kind of lends to some credibility to him, and that's kind of dangerous. So then all of a sudden, because mind you, that's something that you'll hear some other scam baiters mention is Nanocore. So if he can show you things that other scam baiters that people know are legitimate, reasonably, he can do some of those same things, show you some of those same things, and trick you um, into oh, I'm sorry, I lost the train of thought. I was reading Deco's uh, message in my chat about yeah, I'm not interested. But so But at any rate, if he can show you something that looks that you know to be legitimate because maybe you're watching others, then furthermore he can slip in some other stuff. This is how people deceive, by telling half truths. So it's as crazy. It boils down to the sky is blue, right? Look up, it's blue, right? There's clouds up there and they're white. Yeah, yeah. The grass is green and there's a leprechaun behind that tree. Let me go get him. And so those are, that's essentially how it works. So in this case, the leprechaun that he uses is all these custom call flutters and the Merlin global firewall. It's all fucking bullshit. And I don't believe any of that's real. It's going to take somebody to actually show me that it exists, that it's legitimate, for me to change my mind about that being real. So, because here's the whole thing, it's either a really fancy batch file, a PowerShell script, or some other console application written in VB.NET or C Sharp. And you don't have to know all of those. If you know at least two of those, any two of those, you too can create your own very Merlin global firewall, or these call flutters that aren't actually. So just from a programmatical perspective, like one of the videos that I was watching a few days ago, or maybe it was last week. I don't care. But anyway, one where it was showing, oh, here's a new call flutter, and it's like, showing, oh, well, the calling with this number, and this. There's just a whole bunch of numbers, which, by the way, you can write code to, create random phone numbers to, to call from. Don't get me wrong, you could write a legitimate call flutter that does that. This is the other thing; those do exist. You've probably heard on the news. Every couple years it comes out where some guy got tired of all the, get tired of his grandma got scammed, so he got tired of the scammers, so he wrote that was legit. There were a few people that wrote legitimate call flutters, and yeah, so there's certain things that happen that he's playing on that lend to the credibility. But the first thing that I see wrong with, from watching his call flutter script, is how does a program know if the phone number's actually shut down? All it can tell is if it's no longer reaching an IVR or a person. It can absolutely detect if it's getting a busy signal, or that classic, this number is not in service. Those can be detected, but as far as whether or not the call center is actually shut down, no. All I can detect is numbers no longer working. And so, but it blatantly said scammer shut down. We don't know that that actually happened. So, furthermore, on this subject of the call flutter, now if you know how billing works for VoIP, because that's how the call flutter would work if it's legit. And so he sits there and he says, oh, well, this many dollars, we can call this many scammers. And so first off, it's been a while since I looked at the way VoIP is actually billed. It is so many cents a minute. And so, like, so many seconds on the call before it bills you for the full. It's different with every provider. But what I'm driving at is when I was reading what he was saying, oh, donate this many dollars and we'll be able to call this many scammers. Everything that I know about the VoIP providers that I'm familiar with, that's not those numbers, that math doesn't add up. So again, either he's using somebody that's cheaper than the ones that I'm familiar with, such as FlowRoute, Bolt VS, Telnix, Quest Blue. Those are the four that I know of, and they're all legitimate companies. I've used them all, but then the more blatant, the more obvious possibility um, is that there isn't necessarily like, so the only way to get cheaper is if you've got a large account. But the truth is, every one of those providers, if you use so many minutes a month, they do give you a better deal if you're a bigger user, a heavier user. So that's the other legitimate way to get it possibly as cheap as he says. So unless he's got a business, then there's no real way that his calls are that cheap. So I don't know. But so here's the thing, but because he cons people into giving him money, obviously he's got the budget for all, for VoIP. Is that what he's really using it for? I don't know. So in one of the screenshots that they showed where somebody was clearly the actual Malcolm Merlin, I think it was like a Reddit screenshot, and I can't remember if it was on Dayo's video or Internet Talks or both. Honestly, watch both those videos. But he makes a comment about, in a post about, oh, I have a real job that doesn't involve sitting in an office. I carry tools around, I drive a truck, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, somebody who talks like that isn't usually the type that you would expect to have any sort of, advanced IT knowledge, what with programming and security. And I'm not saying it's impossible. That people do change careers, and, there are people who genuinely have that both skill sets. Like the way that read to me was he was like a mechanic or something. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying people do learn multiple types of skills. I suppose there's other things beyond IT that I know that I could do if I really wanted to get into it, but I stick with what I know, right? But my point is, it just, and then when Dayo was trying to, I'm pretty sure it was Dayo, when Dayo was trying to confront Malcolm about his lies, he just blew him off, just laughed. It's clearly a huge joke to him. So yeah, um, that's why I'm not even posting the link to any of Malcolm Merlin's videos. Not even spelling his name. If you follow the other guys, the links that I found, you'll learn how to spell his name. Like, I don't want to give this guy any credit as far as making it easy to find him. Don't get me wrong; they're entertaining if you're okay with fake scambait videos. Um, like like this guy goes out, pays people on Fiverr to make videos, but even so, I think he's probably out there scamming Fiverr sellers too. I don't know, but that's the way it sounded with some of the videos that when Deo was approaching the Fiverr people. It just seemed like he was out just out there to scam everybody. That's a shame, because to me, if you're a content creator, you have a burden to be honest and transparent with your viewers. So I don't have the most impressive channel. I don't have the most impressive anything here, right? I'm not ashamed of what I have. I just started this year. But whether or not I turn into a big time, you know, internet sensation, the time will tell. But I don't care if I do or not, right? I'm here to do it because this is what I just wanted to do it and see what happens. But the point is, from that perspective, I mean, look at my channel stats on Twitch. Look at it on YouTube. Those are the main two places that I stream to. I stream a few other places, Twitter and Facebook, but I don't know how many views I get there. I don't really watch them even now when I'm live. What's live right now? I'm watching my Twitch chat. That's what I'm watching. And so you guys on Twitch are actually my primary audience that I care about, right? So congrats. But it's tempting to see those numbers grow. Like when I got my first subscriber on Twitch, I was happier than a puppy with two Peters. That was a rush. And so so I wanted to seek that again. And so I wanted to so I understand the motivation to to try and do what it takes to make money and get followers. And so all these smoke and mirrors that Malcolm Merlin does, that's, I get it, but it's still wrong. So with my channel, um, I don't. I wish I had more time to do what to do more content. But it isn't my primary job. I make $0, so I have to do other things. That's why you get me when you get me. And I'd like to fix that. I'd like to get to where I can absolutely justify time spent on the channel. And so that's but that's something that takes time and work to do. And so you get somebody like Malcolm Merlin that's out there scamming y'all, trying to get your money because, oh, look what I'm doing. And on top of that, so let's take a look. So he's sitting there and doing stuff with scripting, doing stuff with rats, doing stuff with all sorts of fancy hacking stuff, right? So let's take a look at a legitimate hacker that does stuff, one of the Scambaiters that's known for hacking the scammers. Jim Browning. He's awesome. Don't know if it was mentioned what part of the UK he's from. I think he's Scottish, but By the way, Jim Browning's not even his real name, because when you do what he does, you don't want to be visibly outward, just doing things, because again, yeah, you're sitting in another country, but they're criminal. They're big time criminals. Some of them do have boots on the ground over here. That if they know how to find the person, that's a real legitimate threat still. So he hides his identity. Just he takes all the precautions in the world to protect himself, and he's very much justified. But with that said, so we don't ever see a face for Malcolm Merlin. That's not his real name either. That's just a stage name that he uses. I think one of the two videos sourced and pointed out that it was from some movie within the last 5-6 years. I can't remember what movie. It doesn't matter. Watch those two videos, please. They're great. And on the other hand, I do use my real name, whether or not that was a mistake. So when I started this, I wasn't even thinking about scam baiting. I just started watching scam baits a few months ago. After about a month after I started the channel, I started realizing I like watching scam bait videos again. I thought, you know what, now that I got this channel, do I want to get into it? The jury's still out. But if I do, it's probably not going to be on this channel, just being completely honest. It just depends on what stuff I get into. Will I try to, hack them, delete their files, turn them into the police, whatever? I don't know. If I ever get to the point where I know how to do that, probably. But do I want to do that on this channel where you know who I am? No. So, yeah, it's gonna be, and honestly, if I do, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it because I'm not there yet. But my point is, you take a look at what Jim Browning does versus what Malcolm Merlin does. Jim Browning, for one, doesn't, as far as I know, doesn't use any bullshit call flutters. I don't recall any call flooding videos of his. If he used one, and I'm wrong, so this is where I'm going to say transparency is key. If I'm wrong about something, if I come out here and tell you something that's wrong, that's incorrect, I want you to come back and call me out on it. If I make a video and somebody else and a bunch of people just start just roasting me, razzing me, just saying this guy's a fucking prick, destroy me if I'm deserving of that. But like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So like a month or so ago, I was messing around with a bullshit fake flash drive. I figured it was probably bullshit when I got it, okay? But I just figured, you know what, let's make a video about it. It's content. And they make these fakes really good that if you don't know what you're doing, you'll fall for the banana in the tailpipe. And so, yeah, so basically I had a video, I posted it, where I declared that it was real, And then I spent more time afterwards because something still didn't seem right. Why am I getting all these errors even afterwards? Because and that was actually me breaking a protocol. Like, I was going to wait until it was done copying files, but it was so slow. I just figured, well, we're about a third of the way there. I'll talk about it. And so then after that finished, by the next morning, I realized none of those files copied. The only real space on this 1 terabyte flash drive usable is 64 gigabytes. And the way they format it, the way they lie about it, it flat out pretends to be a full terabyte. Lies to Windows. You can format it as 1 full terabyte. And that's, so because I was wrong and lied to you guys about it, I just took the video down. I didn't. I could have came up with a follow-up video. I could have edited the description. It wasn't because I felt ashamed that I was had. That's not it. I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. But I didn't want to leave something up that would lie to you, would lie to somebody not paying attention, because people go to YouTube because they want to see factual information. Um, and I don't feel, and especially like lately, I've noticed the way YouTube hides the description section in video, for videos. It's like I play help finding it when I'm watching videos on my phone. I don't even know how to find it at this point. Sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't. That's all I'm going to say. And when I'm when I'm looking at it on my computer, even on my new monitor, with this big giant monitor, well, I wouldn't call it big giant. It's definitely the largest monitor I've ever owned. But, it still looks like, here's the video, here's this other stuff, but here's this little cigar box that shows a tiny preview of the description. So, who's really going to click that? So again, I took that video down because it was bullshit. It was wrong. I was wrong. I think I addressed it in another video. Obviously, I'm talking about it now. But I don't want to ever be intentionally misleading people. So because this, I'm not going to lie, this channel is part of my business. It's financed by my business, everything that I use, for the most part. I mean, I just started both the business and the channel this year, so the money hasn't completely been there. So I still been using a lot of my personal stuff, but whatever. It's my business. Who cares, right? I use what I have, and that's the whole thing. I use what I have, but most of the stuff that I use here was purchased with business money. And so because this is part of the business, I want to make sure that the same values I use to run with my business are also put in the, that I use in the YouTube channel. So let me see if I can't pull something up to show you what I mean. So I do, like, made an onboarding video, presentation thing, and, well, the video's bullcrap because that was before I figured out how to make the audio work right. Let me look though. What was that? Because I want to show you like the page where, yeah, there it is. Welcome to Peak and PC Solutions. So yeah, so the business name is Peak and PC Solutions. And so if you don't buy anything from, I don't have a merch store yet. It's not a priority. And that's one of those things. Okay, yeah, new computer. Okay, so but one of those things is I use, I have certain values that I build the company on. And so let's see if I can't show you what I'm talking about. Since we're talking about accountability and we're talking about things that are very important. Deleting that. Yeah, I'm editing this in screen capture. No. sure that's what I was looking for. Yeah, I'm just adding this into Streamlabs while we're on the fly. And so, you. All right, we'll just go with this. So our values. So at Pekin PC Solutions, we make decisions based on the following values. And these are things that I put on the website at pekinpcsolutions.com. These are things that I openly talk with employees. If I have an employee that violates any of these rules, that's a problem. We value things like honesty, respect, trust, integrity, humanity, efficiency, transparency, and accountability. And so if we take a look at what Malcolm Merlin just did, how many of those does he actually violate? Honesty, trust, integrity. Some of those probably are synonyms and are the same basic thing, but whatever, right? The point is, you violate so many of those, and so when I post a video or I'm producing content or I'm planning out content, my goal is not to deceive. My goal is to provide factual information, um, something that you can actually use. I either want to educate you, entertain you, but I absolutely don't ever want to mislead you. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and lie and show you smoke and mirrors. I could literally go right now and make a script that looks like the Merlin Global Firewall. Not that hard to do. It really isn't. But I'm not going to do that because that's a waste of time. Wasn't a waste of time for Malcolm Merlin because he got a bunch of people's money. So, but yeah, so one of those things too over here on the right there. Yeah, anytime these are violated by management staff or a client, an incident is created and it will be investigated. And so I want to make sure that anybody working for us or with us never ever feels uncomfortable. And so the same thing goes to like with YouTube videos or streaming videos. I don't want anybody to feel that watching this content is going to somehow hurt them, lie to them, whatever. So if I get something wrong, I want to know. But I'm not sitting here trying to do this. And this is one of those burdens as a content creator that you have. It's fine to produce parody content. It's absolutely fine to produce fictitious content. That's been like a center of our species for millennia, is producing dramas and fake stuff, and that's fine, but make sure it's clear on what it is. Otherwise, you've got a problem. Otherwise, you got an ethics problem. And so that's basically what I'm at, where I'm going with this. I know this has been roughly an hour, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because the guy is a jerk. But like seriously, you need to really, think very critically. And it's like I said, so some of those tools that I can't remember if I hit the point or not, but some of those tools that Malcolm Merlin shows that are really fancy, why doesn't Jim Browning use that? And then some of those things uh, that he does do that he appears to do anyway, that's similar to what Jim Browning does. Um, if this Malcolm Merlin is such a formidable hacker that takes down scammers, why is it that he's not making the news like Jim Browning has? Jim Browning, if you look, he's been all over the news. So explain to me why. Why isn't so that's the other thing. If Malcolm Merlin is out there trying to to really do real work, he would be one of the more prominent ones in that very particular bubble. So like if you watch Scammer Payback this year, which was awesome, he managed to create what they call the People's Call Center. It's an anti-scam call center, and so yeah, watch Scammer Payback, guys. Seriously, watch those videos, watch what they do. That's real scam baiting work done professionally. I'm hands down impressed. And so, but my point is, so why was Jim Browning invited? So if Malcolm Merlin was the real deal, he would have been invited too, right? And so he would have showed up, but he wasn't there. Why? The answer is simple, because he's not. He could have been invited. Um, I don't know if DVR was on those, but I think DVR is kind of half and half. I think DVR has skills. I think he does produce real content now and then, but I think he's just as bad as Malcolm Merlin, especially since so many of Malcolm Merlin videos are actually just DVR. And most of those videos we hear Malcolm Merlin going on with his text to speech crap. And so very few videos do we actually hear what he sounds like. And we don't even know if that's really what he sounds like. For all we know, it was another voice actor. If I remember right, it's a guy that sounds like he's got a British accent. But everything that I learned about Malcolm Merlin today, especially watching those two videos, the guy's actually Canadian. Now that doesn't mean that he doesn't have that accent, but I'm just saying, um, yeah, it raises more questions than it answers, and that's really what I wanted to get to. And so, yeah, if watch the videos that I linked, um, enjoy it. But please, when you're out there, be very careful about the information that you process. Scam baiting circle is a very trusted circle, and so it's really easy to duplicate. You know, I could probably spend about 20, $30 and produce a Malcolm Merlin like video, and that's, you know what I mean. And I'm not going to, but it's bullshit. Like he hires fake voice actors. It's crazy. It really is truly crazy how that, um, how he just took advantage of people. And so I don't know how much. So there are certain videos that he did that were actually legit. I don't know which ones. I do know that even with the illegitimate videos, he sprinkles in real scam bait call material with the scams. Um, Again, that's enough that, again, just enough smoke and mirrors to fool you into thinking that he's actually scam baiting. And so the only time he does real scam baiting is when he's wasting the scammer's time. How much scammer time is he wasting? Who knows? I don't think he's interested in that. Just long enough to get a couple recordings to use in a video to sprinkle with his bullshit stuff. And yeah, either way, I would watch those two videos. Those are going to be way more enlightening than mine, but yeah, I just had to talk about it because it was bothering me all day. You know, because again, I work in IT, and so part of my responsibility is to educate people. Okay, my customers, my potential customers, anybody that I talk to. I know that once they know what I do, I'm seen as an expert. So I have to speak up. I have to talk. I have to open my mouth and tell you, you being the viewer, about these dangers. So, but hopefully, I'm definitely planning on doing more scam baiting related content in the future. Um, I definitely want to talk more about scammers, and yeah, if I do any scam baiting on here, it's just going to be to waste their time. I'm not, if I do any like actual damage to them, I'm not really interested in showing that at this point. Just being honest, there's enough of that. I can mention, oh yeah, I did this, but I'm not I'm not going to show that much. I just want to be completely honest with you because I'm looking out for my own well-being. I've got enough going on right now. I got too many good things going on, more than enough bad things. I don't need more trouble. So, yeah, but just wasting their time, I don't. There's no risk there, right? Just the only cost is my time and whatever VoIP I use, and that's assuming I even pay for it. Because a lot of these scam baiters are using like text free or text now rather, and I have text now, so I can use that, right? And that's free. It's ad supported. But yeah, that's all I wanted to come on and talk about today. So thanks for watching, and yeah, so if you want to support the channel, there's some ways to do that. But the other thing too is if you genuinely just need some IT consulting, you need to talk, you want to just get set up some one-on-one time. I absolutely do consulting. We can talk about projects. Doesn't matter where, as long as you're located in the continental U.S. We can work together. And so yeah, so if you reach out to me with Peak and PC Solutions, uh, just George at peakandpcsolutions.com. You can absolutely, we can work together, and that supports the channel too. So so you don't have to, you don't ever feel compelled to subscribe or donate or do anything like that. I mean, I'll ask for it, but not always, because I think this is the first video where I even asked for that in a very, very long time. So most of the time it's just a footnote in the description, and that's about it. So yeah, if you feel I provide value to you, you do what you feel is appropriate. I'm not going to sit there and beg you for pennies the way Malcolm Merlin does, where it's like, I think he was like, gosh, I swear he was saying, oh, just $5 lets us waste 100 minutes of a scammer's time or something like that. Or maybe it's 100 calls for $5 or something. Like, why? If you have to ask for $5, then what's really going on? But anyway, I'm going to cut this loose. It was good talking with you. And hopefully I'm planning on doing some more videos soon. I definitely want to touch on some cloud gaming, some streaming. Um, I'm very likely going to be streaming. If I don't do it tonight, I'm going to do it tomorrow. So I have no idea how. Like I'm going to play Lego Star Wars. That's the game I want to play. I play the game so I played this almost all day on Christmas, the better part of the day yesterday, and so if I'm going to keep playing it, I've gotten the hang of it. I might as well stream it. So that's playing on the Xbox Game Pass, their streaming platform. I have no idea how that's going to handle on my internet connection with, while I'm streaming to Twitch and YouTube and stuff. So I have 200 down and 25 up. I'm not worried about the down. I just want to, I am a little concerned about the up, but I could be wrong. It could actually not take as much. So, because especially when I stream to Twitch and YouTube, I think I'm only streaming in like 720p anyway. So the camera that I use is capable of more. And maybe I should up that. Maybe I should. I don't know. I'm not worried about playing with it right now. I'm actually satisfied with the quality. The only thing that I'm not satisfied right now is the lighting's too. Like I look a little washed out. I think that's because my big ass monitor here. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Which means if I got that monitor, I probably don't need the ring light anymore. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Hold on. Let's turn this off. So you gotta do some testing with me. Yeah, but then there's still a shadow, but yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I could technically not use it. and maybe it just looks washed out to me because I'm looking at it on my old monitor. Yeah, so because of my original streaming setup, I had a laptop set up to the right of me. So in order for me to do anything on the stream, it was always over there. I didn't have a very optimized setup. Now I've literally got one little mini computer sitting on this little table. I've taken my actual gaming computer, it's unplugged mostly, took its monitor and plugged it into the DVI port on this little Lenovo Idea Center 5i Mini. And so, like, if you in the direction that I'm looking here on the smaller monitor, I've got OBS, not OBS, Streamlabs. Because OBS Studio is fine. I like Streamlabs. I actually pay for their paid plan. And it's all preference, but I can justify it just because I like it. And but yeah, either way, I like this setup a lot better because I want to be able to look forward. Um, it was a pain in the neck because if I wanted to show something on like a stream, a program like I did earlier, it was kind of a pain. I'd have to kill the video so you couldn't see me at all. But yeah, and so so again, my setup evolved, and so we're coming into 2023, and I'm really excited to see what kind of content that I get to put out next year for you. So, but anyway, I'm going to end it here, and